Hey, friends and family. Hey, loved ones. Hey, all you lovelies out there. You fools and magicians and gardeners and flowers blooming and becoming who we are, expressing who we are, being who we are, loving who we are, knowing who we are, and freeing all we are, becoming all we are, through being all we are. Wanted to talk about Beltane today because we're in that window of, that holiday, that holy day, that point of the year in the wheel of the year, the eightfold path of the year. And so Beltane is usually observed around May 1st, but it just depends really, like on where, what part of the world and everything. But it's the midpoint between the spring equinox and the summer solstice for those of us who are in the northern hemisphere. And it's the height of spring and creativity and fertility and planting and sowing seeds, and the planting begins in earnest. And so it is like all about growth, creativity, possibilities, union, and reunion and manifestation, integration, birthing the new in through our being, in through our ways of being, coming together. Coming together in union. And so I had the pleasure of hosting a circle yesterday at my home just to get together with a few friends and just offer and share some fun creative activities and a space to celebrate and encourage and inspire and share. Yeah, all that we are, because we're the gifts. Yeah. We are our gardeners, our own gardeners of our gardens, and we are the garden. And so it is all about attending, to our own gardens and our own lives. And the gifts that we are, and the gifts that we develop, cultivate, nurture, nourish, generate from our own hearts, from our garden, from that garden of paradise that it lives within. Yeah. So, what wants to be shared today about Beltane? And all those things that relate. And what I love about these holidays and these opportunities to match our rhythm with nature's rhythm, um, match our heartbeats to the heartbeat of our Mother Earth, Pachamama, Gaia, our beloved Earth. And so, it's just been really cool, like learning about all the qualities and the energies and the correspondences of these holidays or these points of the year that move us towards, change and transformation and growth and sometimes stagnation. And so there's all parts of the whole of the growth cycles that are legit. And we do need those times of barrenness and rest. And sometimes, we need to experience the stagnation so we can see where we have been maybe blocking ourselves or working against ourselves, or just have that experience of what the other side is like, that dual nature. And so, the springtime feels so great. I don't know anyone who hates the springtime or who doesn't enjoy like some of the energies and the qualities of springtime, because it is such a magical um, time, like where life is alive again and bursting forth and through and upward and moving towards the sun and towards the light and expanding and expressing itself and blossoming and blooming. So it is all about the flowers. And a beautiful friend brought me some flowers yesterday. A pink and white bouquet here. So pretty. And it's like one of the only times I haven't gone to get flowers, so that was an amazing gift to bring, because it's really all about the blooming. The blooming and blossoming and becoming. And it is about the child of light as well. Like and the union of the two and the third coming through, and the third, through the three comes everything, and then everything, is held by the one. And so it's just really cool, like looking at those things, how the one becomes two, and the two become one, and then the third is born, and the third, from the three comes everything, and from everything, um, sources from the one. And so it's just really cool to look at those things, like the power of the three and the Trinity and the Empress, and all of those things, and the zero that holds everything but is nothing. And just, looking at all those fun things that relate, and how creation, how she operates. So, it's all about integration right now, integration of the two, and that harmonization and that unification of the two to co-create and cooperate. Yeah. So Beltane means bright fire or lucky fire. And so it does, have a lot to do with the light of the sun and the light of the earth. And so the sun, its light is increasing. The days are getting longer. And so there's more growth and greening and fertility of the land. And so it's the lady of the land takes the hand of the horned god. The planting and sowing begin in earnest. Enlivening, enlightening, vitality, youth, growth, potential, healing, prosperity, abundance, sensuality, pleasure, and joy. So we come alive through our senses again. And the senses can enliven our soul's vitality. And there's a quote by Oscar Wilde, something about nothing feels as good to the soul as coming to our senses. Or there's some kind of thing about the senses and the soul, and how they both are a part of each other. So it is all about those senses of life, sensing and being in the rhythm and the harmony of life through our own lives. So it's all about actions right now too. Like, what actions can we take? And a lot of us feel that fire under our bum. And some energy surges, and the urge to create, and the urge to merge, and those primal urges, those instinctive urges, and to come together and then create something new, or have that reaction of the two. Actions, movement, motion, energy, bursts and surges, fertility and union, birth, renewal, integration, regeneration, refertilization, realization, self-realization, manifestation, nurturance, nourishment, attention, intention, gathering, feasting, celebrating, and revelry, pleasurable and creative activities, creativity, moving into, moving forward, moving towards the ascent of the sun, inspiration, boosting goals, and nourishing clear intentions. What do we want to create? What do we want to invite? What do we want to ignite? What are we going to focus on? Because where our attention goes, that's where our energy goes. And so are we putting our energy into something that we want it, where we want it to go, and so that we can see the changes that we want to see? Or are we giving our power away and letting our attention get hooked into some other agenda rather than our own dreams? And it's good to look at that, like where we can redirect our energy and choose what we need, choose what we want, choose who we are, choose who we get to be, choose what we want to put our energy into and towards, and what we get to build and work towards. So playing games. It's all about playing games right now, and dancing and expressing, creatively and authentically. Innocence and simplicity. The magic and the mundane. It's all about that. Like the magic of growth and fertility. and creating, something new and true and full. Wisdom, the heights of spring, the possibilities, rising, stirring, and awakening, the quickening life force and sexuality. We open to the god and the goddess of youth and the child of light. Sensuality, bliss, joy, unself consciousness. Our senses enliven our soul's vitality. And this little quote that I found on druidry.org, I thought it was so cool. Integration of the male and female aspects of the self has long been seen as one of the prime goals of spiritual and psychotherapeutic work, and Beltane represents the time when we can open to this work fully, allowing the natural union of polarities that occurs in nature at this time the opportunity to help us in our work, a work that is essentially alchemical. And druidry.org. Some of the symbols and some of the correspondences and energies and goddess and god qualities. The cauldron, which is another symbol of the womb and the waters of life. And the maypole is a phallic symbol. And and also like the dances that they did with the maypole, with the ribbons around the maypole, is like the spiral. And so it does seem to be talking a little bit about like time and timelines and different things. And I'll have to look more into that one. And of course, all the flowers and bloom, and the broom. The next one is the broom, the flowers and bloom, and then the broom. The broom, is a very interesting symbol as well. It's not just about sweeping out the old, but that is like a main theme of the broom, where it's like ritually and symbolically and practically cleaning the home or sweeping the old away to welcome in the new. So it is about like cutting away the old growth and all of that. But there is like some really interesting things about the broom and about the cauldron and about the witches and about the plants and about journeying and about sexuality. And so there's all sorts of things. And I think I talked about this maybe around Samhain, talking about like sex magic and those kinds of things, and making love potions and all those things, and using the broom handle to stir like the alchemical mixture in the cauldron. And there's all sorts of fun things about that, and flying and flight, like the flight of the soul and all that. So in other symbols, seeds, of course, and plows, and fire, and living, growing things, life. The ribbons and links and connections, like all the colors of spring and all the beauty. The phallus and the yoni, fertility. Some of the gods and goddesses, and there are all sorts of gods and goddesses from all sorts of traditions, and it's all the gods and goddesses who preside over fertility, or that mother, father, archetype. And the love, all the love that's available and all that love generates. So Aphrodite, Artemis, Bast, Diana, Flora, Maya, Pan, Venus. Those are just some. Those are just a few that relate, but there are so many more. And then some druids honor the Celtic sun and healer god Belenus. I'm not sure if that's how that's pronounced, but it's Belenus. And in Scotland, in some traditions, Beltane is celebrated May 15th. And also, some traditions, they celebrate it when the sun is at 15 degrees Taurus. And so that's our little Beltane window of fun right there. Celebrate the ability of light and life and love. That's who we are. To create, manifest, and dream in love. Gaining a deeper understanding of life, wisdom, New life, new love, new light, potential and possibilities, the God and Goddess in union, fertility, integration, self worth, value, appreciation. Yeah, all of that is what it's about. Like all the possibilities that there are, and knowing and seeing all of the gifts that there really are, and acknowledging our own abilities to create and to become all we are. And yeah, this amazing, amazing article I found the other day when I was looking up some things for Beltane. I found it on druidry.org, and I will put the link in the comments section because it was just such a delicious read, and I just enjoyed every every bit of it. It was just so lovely, and I'll just read like a couple excerpts. And it was about self worth and value, so I thought that was extra awesome. So this is by Maria Ede Weaving. Lady of the earth's desire and the earth's yielding of the sap rising in the embrace of longing, as the kiss of the sun awakens you, we too are awakened to the yearning of our bodies and souls. As you unfurl each petal, you release the scent of bluebells, May, and apple blossom. This is your love song, your call to union, and we too must answer. It's hard to resist loving this time of year. Everything feels gloriously alive and renewed. The blossom abundant, the green of the trees, that special shade that our eyes seems magnetically drawn to. The color of bluebells has an equally mesmerizing effect, as if we are thirsty for it, that rare, vivid, unearthly blue that dissolves and overwhelms our defenses with joy. Beltane is the festival of the sacred union of the goddess and god. It's a deeply joyous affair, celebrating sexuality on many levels, its rites ultimately honoring our striving for that union of the divine masculine and feminine deep within us. I always think of it as exploring that magical process when we truly open to another, just as the blossom to the bee, and in the surrendering of that boundary becomes something more than ourselves. Love and sex bring us some of our most profound experiences, some ecstatically joyous, others deeply painful. But at least they open us and let the mystery of another's being flood into that intimate hidden space, changing us. I have always been very interested in the spiritual dimensions of sex. From very early on, I had an inkling that sex had the potential to be a gateway to God, which was rather strange considering my early experiences of it, which at best were rather empty, superficial teenage fumbling, at worst humiliating abuse. Even at the lowest moments of the abusive relationship in my teens, when sex really did feel like the sharpest and most brutal of weapons to my young psyche, I knew deep down that in its purest form it could be a profoundly connecting and an intensely spiritual act. What my early experience taught me was that it takes a great deal of courage to let sex work on you in that way, because such an experience demands a mutual surrendering, a letting go of all that keeps us feeling safe, a stripping away of those masks that hide our vulnerability. In abusive relationships, you have a dynamic where that surrendering is being actively forced upon one party by another. The enforcer does their utmost to surrender nothing. They control the surrender by force or coercion, and vicariously experience it for themselves whilst retaining a sense of power. Such an approach is mainly about power, it's not even really about sex. Sex becomes an enticing setting because it's potentially where we expose our greatest vulnerability. Sex can be the most meaningless of acts, a superficial if pleasurable sensation. It can be a battlefield, the most painful wedge of separation between two people. It can also be a gateway to another's deepest being, a connecting force between the soul of one to another. It can bring an intensity of emotion and feeling that blows life as we know it apart. All known signposts gone, and from this intensely vulnerable and alive place, a new potential of being can be born. Spiritual sex, sex that engages the body, mind, emotions, and soul, surely takes us to the divine within, shows us most vividly a glimpse of that divine union that we strive for within us. The union that Beltane is ultimately about. Our particular Beltane rituals tend to focus quite a lot on self worth. I think for many people, there is a lot of healing to be done with regard to sexuality and intimacy. Good boundaries and healthy self esteem are so important. It can be easy to make sexual and emotional choices that are less than good for us when we have a fragile sense of self. Self-love and care are psychologically strengthening. They help to bring clarity and re-engage us with a healthy and flexible self-protective instinct. We start to develop better judgment in deciding what and who are good for us. What and who are good or bad for us. The goddess and the god of Beltane, as I understand them, touch me deeply and help to heal my old wounds. The goddess is the lady of the heart's blossoming. Divine lover, setting fire to our bellies with her joyous heat and animating our bodies with the blissful energy of her love. We honor her as queen of the May of we honor her as queen of the May, lady of life and love, naked and radiant with power of her desire. She reveals to us the joy of union, the exquisite unfurling of body, mind, and spirit. Crucially, she teaches us that the treasure of our yoni is truly precious, a place of inspired creation and pleasure, the gateway to life, challenging the often derogatory and confused undercurrent that seems to underpin attitudes to female sexual organs and sexuality. She taps us into their deeper power and significance. In her heart burn the fires of love, both the love of self and of others. She holds up her mirror and reflects back to us our true beauty and worth. When we gaze at our reflection, we see her beautiful face, body, and being. I have learned that her beauty is our beauty, that in valuing and loving ourselves, we are honoring and loving her. She expresses the wisdom that without such loving self care, we can never truly open to another. She is passion, joy, and creativity, queen of her own body, emotions, mind, and spirit, but also striving for joyous union with the world and others. She is the needy heat of desire, powerful self love, and the passionate love of others. She is ecstasy and the dance of life. She is sensuality and deep connection. She is the intimacy of skin upon skin. We feel her pulsing through us when we fall in love, when desire takes over, when we reach out to touch the soul of another. We also feel her when we take joy in ourselves, when we feel and see our own beauty and worth. Historically, she has been given a terribly hard time. She has been called whore and punished for her beauty and her power. She is often the one within us that needs the most healing. The god of Beltane expresses a joyous desire. He is lord of the waxing earth and sun, vibrant spirit of the wild wood whose green blood fires our hearts. He is the moist fingers of outstretched leaves, and his vibrant growth is the tender hand that moves upon the body of the goddess. He is the warm kiss of sunlight, the heat of passion, and the dance of life. He has helped to heal a great deal in me, teaching that the treasures of his sacred phallus are not violence, senseless aggression, or abuse, but strength, passion, and reverence. He is our energy and vigor. He is the great spark of light and life, and as bluebells cover the woodland floors, apple and hawthorn trees blossom, and everywhere grows lush and green, his desire intensifies. At Beltane, he hears the voice of the goddess deep in the greenwood, and with joy answers her call, drawn by her glorious scent, striving to merge and surrender to the bliss of her embrace. He is the heat of passion, the sweet pain of yearning, the reverence that true intimacy and love inspires. Through him we are transformed by desire, we open to the mystery of another, we die to our separate selves and become the ecstasy of life. He touches us with his urgency, moves us with his need, takes us to the core of ourselves. Beltane encourages us to ask, what is life without passion and connection? It opens us to the extraordinary energy of desire, of our desire, but also to the deeply empathetic nature of our being, one that strives to relate, make connections, open even further to the mystery of life. This Beltane, may each of us be blessed with deep and abiding love of self, others, our planet, and through those healing fires of love and passion, may we each find our true path to union within. And that was Sacred Sex and the Goddess and God of Beltane from druidry.org by Maria Eid Weaving. And I actually did read the whole thing, and I was just so right. It's so right on. I'm so glad that I found that. I was just like, yes, this is how this feels. This feels right. This is what it's all about. Yeah, it's life, light, and love, and embracing, ourselves through, through loving ourselves, honoring ourselves, and then extending that love to the other. and knowing, yeah, that it's bigger than us too, like beyond our little separate selves. And so, yeah, I super enjoyed that, and just looked at a couple of correspondences on some different pages that I found, and just looking at like some of the animals that relate and things, and just all those other fun things, and just seeing like the signs of life in spring, like right out the door, and in here too, within all those beautiful gifts, like expressing and rising, yeah, and being expressed, yeah, through us. And the hands kept coming up yesterday, and so I just wanted to share a little bit about the hands. And yeah, see, the hands. This is from my Signs and Symbols source book by Adele Nosdar. So the hand. Word origins frequently give clues as to the nature of objects and ideas. The Latin word for hand is manus, which carries the same root as the word, among others, manifestation, a clear indication that to be manifest is to be held in the hand or created by the hand. The hand is possibly one of the most accessible and expressive parts of the human body. We shake hands as a sign of greeting. We can use our hands to make signs and symbols, to gesticulate, and to communicate. Literally, we can talk with our hands, and the hands, as instruments of language, are used throughout the world. We can use our hands to communicate with someone even though we may not speak the same language or the same tongue. The universality of hand gestures transcends nationality and cultural background. In the Kabbalah, the left hand of God signifies justice and his right hand mercy. Blessings and benedictions are given with the right hand. To give someone your hand is to imply trust. For example, when we speak of someone's hand in marriage, speak of giving someone's hand in marriage. When we meet someone, we shake each other's right hand. This is a sign of friendship and trust and shows that neither person is wielding a sword. This right-left symbolism of the hand occurs several times. The right hand is associated with cleanliness and the left with dirt, and in some countries, to offer something with the left hand is seen as an insult. Hands, as an extension of the will and of the intention, carry a great power. In the practice of laying on the hands, they are used as agents of healing energies. And that was one of my first thoughts too, was like the energy in the hands and the healing, like the healing or the laying on of hands. And and just like how much the hands can hold. And I've been working with my handless maiden story for the last little while. And so, I've really enjoyed like these synchronicities that I'm coming up about the hands and around the hands. And so, I do have a couple of books that I got out that I thought about. And one of them is a pretty interesting book. It's called Body Talk, and it's like all of these hand signs and signals and gestures from around the world. It's super interesting, by Desmond Morris. And so I thought, hey, I'm going to pick that up again and look at that. It's for fun. And right next to it on my bookshelf was this palmistry book, and I thought that was kind of funny too, like those were together. And just wanting to look at this yoga book as well, to look at different mudras and things, because those actually activate different energies within us, holding those mudras and things. And I have felt that my hands sometimes have a life of their own, and they just want to move, and they want to dance, and they want to groove, like sometimes. And sometimes if I let them, I don't know, it feels like strange to me sometimes, but it's just like getting out of my own way and letting them like move and create, or like draw forth or radiate energy. And so it's just kind of cool, kind of fun in a lot of different ways. But there's some things about hand gestures in this book as well. Underneath the description of the symbol of the hand, there's these hand gestures, and I did read about that in one of my sharings when I was going through the stage of number 2, the dismemberment. Clarissa Pinkola Estes had written some amazing things about the hands, and I shared that, um, yeah, in the last month or so. So, hand gestures, the silent eloquence of hand gestures and signals can speak volumes. The V for victory sign, the palm forward, the index and the middle fingers extended, is recognized all over the world, and the pejorative version of the same sign, the palm turned down, is also universally understood. There's an apocryphal story about the origins of this particular signal. During the Hundred Years' War, the bow and arrow were the major offensive weapons. The English were famous for their skill in handling the longbow, and if they were captured, the French chopped off the index and middle fingers that were used to pull back the bowstring. Therefore, the gesture, as a signal of taunting defiance, was born. So the index and the middle fingers. The meanings of certain hand gestures can alter according to where in the world they are made. A good case in point is the Manofico, or the sign of the fig, made by thrusting the thumb between the middle and the index fingers of the curled hands. The fico may have been a good luck charm for both the ancient Romans and the latter day Brazilians, but elsewhere in the world the gesture is not only insulting but also threatening. So, the mano cornuda, or horned hand, also has a dual meaning. The index and the little fingers are straight, whilst the thumb curls around the other two fingers. This signal is also called the goat's horns, and while it may be an ancient sign used to ward off the evil eye by emulating the horns of the devil, others see it as the mark of allegiance with evil forces. If the sign is made behind someone's head surreptitiously, then this indicates that the person's partner is cheating on them. It refers to the horns of the goat, an animal that has a particularly lascivious reputation. The Japanese beckoning cat uses a welcoming gesture that is recognizable everywhere, whether made by feline or human. The palm is at the shoulder height and facing outward. There's another beckoning sign that uses the index finger curling repeatedly in a hook-like gesture as though to reel something in. This gesture asks the person to come close. The sign of benediction or blessing is universal too. Here the index and middle fingers are extended, whilst the others curl into the palm. This signal is first registered and used by the Romans, who used it as a sign to gain attention or to indicate that the user was going to speak. A more elaborate version of the hand up signal used by school children who want to answer a question in the classroom. This ancient hand gesture is used to bless holy water, wine, bread, or other items. Its use transcends religious boundaries and is used by the Pope as well as those of a more pagan persuasion, such as Druids and Wiccans. The clenched fist is a symbol of power, of unity. It's a sign of victory and defiance, and power is held closely in the hand. The crossed fingers signal as a universal sign of hope or of good luck, generally used when some wish is expressed aloud. The signal has one of two meanings. First, the cross is a protective gesture that averts the evil eye. Second, any bad luck is trapped in the cross shape. However, if someone tells a lie, he might surreptitiously make this gesture, making sure that it cannot be seen to avert any bad luck involved in the telling of the lie. The thumbs up signal has come to mean approval, whereas the thumbs down sign means the opposite. Although the gestures are regularly used by makers of epic gladiatorial movies to signify decisions over the life or death of a gladiator, their origins are indeterminate and may actually date back to a time when a thumbprint was used to seal documents. Which that's interesting too, because that wasn't that long ago. And then there's the mudras. The Sanskrit word is derived from the verb mud, meaning to please, with the interference being that the gods are the ones that are being pleased. It also means seal, sign, or mark. Mudras are hand signals, but with a more sacred nature than the secular gestures described above. They have spiritual meanings not only because of their intention, but because each part of the hand and the fingers is dedicated to a deity. Mudras are used in yoga and dance as well as in religious pictures and statuary. Images of the Buddha, for example, generally show his hands in the silently eloquent gestures that are rich in meaning. When used in yogic practices, mudras not only help to focus the mind on abstract ideas and intention behind the pose or asana, but experts say that the movements themselves have a direct connection to the nervous system and can help with breath control, etc. Each of the fingers itself carries several different symbolic meanings. They are dedicated to each of the 5 elements. The thumb is space, the index finger is air, the third finger represents fire, the fourth water, and the little finger earth. Some universally accepted gestures have their origins in these sacred signs. For example, the chin mudra is effectively the same as the OK sign, symbolic of approval or all is well. Here, the tips of the index finger and the thumb close in a circle. The other 3 fingers are straight. Because in Hindu belief the thumb represents the universal spirit and the index finger represents the individual spirit, the circle made when the fingers touch is symbolic of the self that meets the universe, making a circle of completion or wholeness. So that's interesting. So like the OK sign, each of the fingers, represent different elements, and all is well. Here are the tips of the index finger and the thumb close in a circle. The other 3 fingers are straight because in Hindu belief the thumb represents the universal spirit and the index finger represents the individual spirit. The circle made when the fingers touch is symbolic of the self that meets the universe, making a circle of completion or wholeness. Another mudra that is known universally is the Anali mudra and the Namaskara mudra. Again, Westerners will recognize this as the gesture of prayer, both hands together at chest level. Prayer sign. Again, Westerners will recognize this gesture of prayer. The touching